I can count on one hand the number of times in my adult life when I've awakened peacefully and happily, without either fear of imminent death or sufficient annoyance to make me want to murder someone else. The morning 4 weeks after Patriana, Duchess of Havor, had poisoned me was not one of those times. "He's dead!" Despite the fog clogging my head and dulling the sounds in my ears, I recognised Brasty's voice. "He's not dead," said another, slightly deeper voice. That one belonged to Kest. The light thump-thump of Brasty's footsteps on the wooden floor of the cottage grew louder. "Usually he comes out of it by now. I'm telling you, this time he's dead. Look, he's barely breathing." A finger prodded at my chest, then my cheek, then my eye. You might be wondering why I didn't simply stab Brasty and go back to sleep. First, my rapiers were 10 feet away, lying on a bench next to the door of the small cottage we occupied. Second, I couldn't move. "Stop poking at him," Kest said. "Barely breathing still means alive." "Which is another thing," Brasty said. "Neafa's supposed to be fatal." I imagined him wagging his finger at me. "We're all happy you survived it, Falcio, but this lying about each morning is highly inconvenient behaviour. One might even call it selfish." Despite my repeated attempts, my hands refused to reach out and wrap themselves around Brasty's throat. The first week after I'd been poisoned, I'd noticed a slight weakness in my limbs. I moved more slowly than usual. Sometimes I'd try to move my hand, and it would take a second before it would obey. But instead of getting better, the condition had gradually worsened, and I found myself imprisoned in my own body for longer and longer each morning after I awoke. A hand on my chest pressed down with a great deal of pressure. Brasty was leaning on me. "But Kest, I think you have to agree that Falcio is largely dead." There was another pause, and I knew Kest was considering the matter. "The problem with Brasty is that he's an idiot. He's handsome and charming, he can outshoot any man or woman with a bow, and he's an idiot. Oh, you wouldn't think so at first. He's a fine conversationalist, and uses many words that sound like the sort of words smart people use. He just doesn't use them in the right context, or even the right order. The problem with Kest, though, is that while he is extremely intelligent, he thinks that being philosophical requires giving any idea due consideration, even if it's utterly nonsensical, and being uttered by the aforementioned idiot." "I suppose," Kest said finally, and then redeemed himself marginally by adding, "but wouldn't it be more correct to say he's somewhat alive?" More silence. Did I mention that the two fools in question are my best friends, fellow Greatcoats, and the men I was counting on to protect me in case the Lady Trin picked that precise moment to send her knights after us?